Hey guys, I wanted to, before Chris left, I had him sit back down and I wanted to have our intern, Gianni Paolo, come in. And Gianni is, he's an adult, but he looks like he's not. Sometimes you'll see, little kids will run up just on the street and yell, "You're it," and just touch him and they run off. So obviously he's, people see him in other realms. Children see him. He could trick or treat and it's no big deal. But I wanted to see what Chris Hansen's thought of Gianni, if he thought he would be good bait for pedophiles out there. And so here's an extra segment of me bringing Gianni back in the studio and having Chris give him the once over. Hi there. Have a seat. What are you doing here? What's in the bag? Chris, we have our intern who's also a famous actor, but nobody knows him yet because his movie isn't out yet. But
your time will come. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was actually on Dateline last 2 months ago. Our movie was.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, we want to know, Chris, if Gianni's a young man, he plays a high school student in a new film. Is this the kind of guy you would use?
Absolutely. Oftentimes we have the on-site decoys join us. They're young acting students who may be 20, 21 years old, but who look younger, and you could fit the part. Yeah, we could put you to work. The actual decoys who do the conversations with the predators are from all walks of life. It's all online. But for the two people that we have in the home during the investigation, it's somebody like you and the female version.
So what do you train them beforehand? What do you have to tell them? What do they?
And do you tell them that, or does the producer tell them?
It's all of the above. So the security people will run them through, don't get too close. If they go in for a hug, say, "I'll be right back," and just scoot. Hansen will be out in a minute. Don't engage, don't physically get involved. Never cross the threshold of the door. And again, as the guy's coming in, and there are often moments where, he's like, come here, let's go for a ride. And there's this negotiation where you got to think on your feet, and we don't want to put too much pressure on the on-site decoy because it's not fair because they're not trained journalists.
Has anything ever happened to it?
No, we wouldn't allow that.
And what type of attire would you put Gianni in? Because I know, is this something you would let him wear, or what does a decoy kind of wear to make them seem most, delectable?
That's pretty close. Hoodies are big.
Ooh.
Yeah, because, sometimes there's a disconnect between the online decoy and the on-site decoy. So if somebody says you've got blue eyes and, red hair and you don't, the hoodie is acceptable to wear. Right.
It just gives them a moment, just a little extra something, what's going on here?
Once they're in and I'm out.
Right.
The last investigation, we had a guy who, the way it was set up was the kitchen island was right next to a bathroom, and he was on the road for several hours and wanted to use the bathroom. And so that's always risky because if somebody, traps themselves in there, then you got a problem.
Right.
But it looked like it was going to go okay. So he goes and does that. The decoy leaves and I walk in. So when he goes into the bathroom, he is saying goodbye to a young woman. When he comes out,
wow,
I'm waiting for him. And so you can imagine the startling effect.
Cinderella,
Reverse.
Is that has the decoy ever made a mistake that you guys really or just an accidental mistake?
No, it's tightly choreographed. And they're only exposed. We've had some very gifted decoys over the years. One of whom was in theater school at New York, and she was so good that we actually had her travel with us.
Wow.
Casey, and she was that good. And it got to the point where she developed skills and a trust level where we would allow her to engage, and she was good at, getting stuff going in the natural environment. Because once I walk out, they know.
Yeah.
They may think for a minute.
Sex is probably off.
It's the mad, it's the mad dad, it's the detective, and ultimately and sometimes guys says, "Oh, you're Chris Hansen." I said, "Well, how did you know that?" Because I watch the show all the time. It's stunning.
Wow.
But
would you believe that they watched the show, but they also are now doing it?
Because it's a disconnect, I think, from who they are in that moment to who they are when they're on the internet.
Right, and there's almost, in some cases, there's been this moment of excitement. We had one guy down in Georgia. We did a piece with the Jasper County Sheriff's Department down there, and he's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I just met Chris Hansen." I said, "You get why you're meeting Chris Hansen, right?" Yeah, and he slams his head down on the table, and I said, "Oh,
Oh my god.
Do you think that there at a certain point became men who started doing predatory stuff just to try and meet you? I'm serious about that.
people joke about it on the internet, you know, and I don't think so. That's a rough way to, go to a book signing, watch the shows on the TV, but don't do that. I mean, that's a rough meet. Nothing good is going to come out of that.
So honestly, on Gianni, if you had to give him out of 10, and you don't have to give him a 10, and you shouldn't, but what would you give him on the decoy scale?
I think he's 9.5 at
Nice.
least.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it's the height?
He could age out soon though.
Yeah.
How tall are you?
I'm like 5'7" in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh.
You're an inch taller in the morning, so.
Are you really?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, so I'm about 5'7" in the morning, and.
Well, I think that would work. Yeah.
But I play like in high school. I play 16 on TV, and but like I'm 22, so I'm kind of getting there.
Yeah.
So there would be a chance you actually could even use him.
We could, but we usually keep the ages, 13 and 12 and 13, maybe 14.
Oh, that's the age you're going for them to look.
Yeah.
Because then there's no gray area about,
Yeah,
well,
that
I
makes
mean,
sense.
for instance, we had this guy show up and he was there for a 13-year-old boy, and he says, well, I didn't have my glasses on. I thought it said 18. And
I watched that.
Yeah, I watched that one yesterday.
The cop's interviewing him, and he says, well, you were able to find the address okay without your glasses. Your vision was okay then.
Wait,
Yeah.
but didn't you know that guy?
Yeah, he rode the train.
Yeah, that was the train guy.
When I had a house in Connecticut.
That's
He was a real estate
I used to-
agent.
Yeah, exactly.
Has you ever encountered anyone
Charles.
you've ever known before like that? Or?
No,
That's
that was
crazy.
the only one. And it was funny because I hadn't seen him in a couple of years. And he wasn't like a friend or something.
Right.
It was just, he was on there was a social car where a lot of guys would have a couple of beers on the way home, and he would always be kind of lurking about on the periphery, and nobody ever thought much of it. And all of a sudden he's
Yeah.
there, and I'm looking, gosh, that guy looks familiar. And I walk out, he says, Chris, no, it's not what it looks like. And the crew all thinks that he just knows me from television. It turns out that this is a guy who,
Yeah.
Did you, who's somebody you beat in tennis that was like a celebrity that you played against, you beat at least in one match?
Well, I've never beaten any celebrities. I have warmed up one of the McEnroe brothers, which was good, but not in a match.
That's cool.
Although I'll tell you a funny story. So Mark McEnroe, who's the third brother who didn't play pro tennis but is incredibly gifted, I was in a
Like Cooper Manning, he's the third Manning brother.
yeah, but he's
But incredibly gifted.
He's an
Same.
incredible tennis player,
Same.
But he's a lawyer and he has a fine life and he's close with John and Patrick. But we were in this round robin, and the fellow I was playing with was younger, very talented. I mean, the reason why I ever won anything was I had a 1-year-old, kid with a 105 mile an hour serve, So it was,
Yeah, you're just the looks of the operation.
Right, I just don't miss, And we were supposed to play Mark McEnroe and this other fellow, Jim Green. And they both had vacation places in Rhode Island, got stuck in traffic and couldn't get back to Connecticut. So they had to forfeit the match. And so it says, Hansen, Mester, moving on to the next round. And so people who weren't around the courts at that time said, you guys beat McEnroe and Green? I said, it's like they never showed up.
That's funny.
Or as a friend of mine says, he said, I've never lost a doubles match. My partner has, but I've never lost a doubles match.
Chris Hansen, thank you so much. Gianni?
My pleasure.
Yep.
Johnny, we'll get your number.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yes, that's a dream.
Especially
job
if we
of mine.
shoot something on the West Coast.
Yeah, we'll see you online.
Look up.
I won't.
You're going to be the one that we're walking in on.
No, I will not.
Wait. He looks familiar.
Yeah. Can you give us one, have a seat before we, how do you?
To you?
Just to the general universe.
Have a seat and listen to the podcast this past week.
Thank you so much, Chris.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Now I'm just floating on the breeze, and I feel I'm falling like these leaves. I must be cornerstone. Oh, but when I reach that ground, I'll share this peace of mind I found. I can feel it in my bones, but it's gonna take a little time for me to set that parking brake and let myself unwind. Shine.